Hi, today I want to do a quick-ish review of The Name of the Wind, which is the first book in the Kingkiller Chronicles by Patrick Rothfuss. Um, I will try not to spoil anything, but this is not going to be just a summary of the book. It is going to be an in-depth review because I'm so tired of seeing, like, whenever I finish a book and I want to go see what other people have to say, I'll type in like Name of the Wind review and it'll just be tons of people, even some of my favorite people, just giving a summary of the book. I'm like, this is not what I came for. Anyway, so I'm going to talk a little more in depth about this book. Um, if you have no idea what it's about, it is basically, it's supposed to be a trilogy, but only 2 books are out so far. Here's The Name of the Wind and Wise Man's Fear. There's going to be a third book eventually. But each book, it takes up a day of Quoth, the main character, telling his own story to somebody who is writing it down. So the book starts out with a really boring, like 30-page section that introduces you to Quoth and the tavern slash bar thing that he owns, and his assistant that works with him, and the regulars of the tavern bar thing. And then the chronicler walks in, knows who Quoth is because he's supposed to be undercover because he has caused so much trouble in his lifetime, which you can read on the back. That's not really a spoiler. I'm so sorry about this clock. I'm going to have to take the batteries out. It's like a family heirloom, though, so I can't be mad about it. Anyway, so this guy walks in, knows who he is. Let me hold it over here. This guy walks in, knows who he is, wants to write down his story because he's a legend. So this is the first day of storytelling. The second book is the second day, and so on. It starts out when he is a child, and he is in a traveling theater band kind of thing. Music has been very important to him since he was a child. Which kind of plays a role throughout the books. Something happens, and then he tries to go to the university. When he's a kid in the traveling band, whatever, there's someone who tags along who teaches him a lot about alchemy, basically, and tells him that there's a place called the university where you can go to learn more about this kind of stuff. So he kind of devotes his life to trying to get to the university. So, spoiler, but this is what the whole series is about. He gets to the university when he's only like 15 years old. And mind you, it's kind of like a college. So most people are 17 or 18 going in. But this guy's 15. He is, of course, the chosen one, like friggin' Harry Potter or something. And I'll get into how similar I have realized these books are to Harry Potter. But this guy is basically Harry Potter. He's the chosen one. He's like the smartest of them all. And has no money. He's homeless, whatever. Gets into the admission process and basically blows them away so much that they pay him to go to this school. Which I just find kind of unbelievable. But that's okay. Then it just gets into his story about him going to university and all the things he gets into. Like I said, I feel like I've tried to film this review once, but I wasn't making any sense. And then I realized this is so much like Harry Potter that I need to like mention it from the beginning and like trace that as I go. Quoth, if I didn't say the main character's name is Quoth, he's basically Harry Potter. Like, this is a world in which it's a known thing that some people are able to use magic, kind of. It's been a while since I read it. I'm not sure if this is something everybody can do. I think it's something anyone can do, but some people are like kind of against it, or maybe a lot of people just don't know about it. But yeah. So the point is he goes to the university and is trying to learn as much about this magic as he can to get revenge, basically, or at least get some answers to what's happened to him. Um, like I was saying, he's a lot like Harry Potter because it's known in the world that there is such a thing as magic and whatever, but not everybody does it. So he is basically Harry Potter. He gets to go to Hogwarts. He gets to go to the university. Um, there is someone there who hates him from the beginning, whose name is Ambrose, which is basically Draco Malfoy. And they fight throughout the whole freaking series so far. There is there's two women who I would say both together embody Hermione. Um, One is Denna. She's like this annoying manic pixie dream girl who runs into Quoth early in life and then into him again later, once he gets to the university. And it's so annoying that Quoth that has so much potential, and if he's so freaking smart that he can get paid to go to this school, because I'm under the impression that what the university usually does is accept anybody who has a lot of money, like no matter really how stupid they are, because it's just a way for them to make money, really, which is a lot like a lot of universities, even in the real world. But Quoth is so smart he gets paid to. So it just bothers me that Quoth is apparently this smart and has so much potential, and he's there for a reason. Like, he wants answers, he wants revenge, but some stupid girl comes along, and he's just like, just throws it out the window every time she comes around, and it's so annoying because there's just not much to her. Like, I feel like the author tries to make her feel more mysterious than she really is, at least at first, and that's why I was so aggravated with her. But as the series goes on, you learn a lot more about her, and Patrick Rothfuss slowly reveals things about her which make me at least think that there's a lot more to her than we can see, or that he's letting us see so far. And I'm really excited for the third book because I think he's really going to take her places, and that the author is really going to take Denna places, figuratively and literally, in the third book. But that is one of my problems with the series in general, is that women are just not portrayed very well. But before I get into that, she's part Hermione because she is really smart, though. Or maybe she would be more Jenny, I guess, because she's pretty smart, but she's mostly like the love interest. But I guess Hermione would be a girl named Fela. At least it's spelled Fela. And she is like hella smart. She like, I think if the author would pay more attention to her, or like give her more screen time or like page time, she would rival Quoth in her knowledge. And she, the point of the book, or the title, The Name of the Wind, is like everyone has to train to have the ability to learn the name of something, and to learn the name, like the real name of something, is to have control over it. And what Quoth is trying to do, or what he kind of finds out he can do, is call the name of the wind. And Fela, oh man, I can't even remember what she calls now, but it might be like rock or something, because I think she splits open some rock on stage, which was like so badass. And that's been like my favorite scene for the whole series so far. But yeah, I would say she is definitely Hermione because she is hella smart. And you know, Harry's the chosen one, so you know he's smart, but he's also special. But Hermione just works really hard for her knowledge, and that's exactly how Quoth and Fella are. Like, Quoth is the chosen one, and he's like smart enough, I guess, but um, Fella like works really hard. You know what I mean? And I just really respect that. Um, and I wish she would get some more page time, but and I think the author is doing this on purpose. The fact that she is really objectified and sexualized by a lot of the other characters, and I want to say that he's doing that on purpose so that the audience will get angry and say this isn't right. We need to, you know, work against this in society and stuff. But my problem with that is like, when do you draw the line? Like, when is it no longer what the author is trying to do, and when does it become like what the author's doing without realizing it? You know what I mean? Like making his main character, of course, a chosen boy and not a chosen woman. Like, why is there never a chosen girl? You know what I mean? Like, I've always wondered what the Harry Potter series would be like if Hermione were the chosen one, and I know that's what a lot of people are mad about with the Cursed Child that just came out, is with the whole time travel aspect. It shows that Hermione would be some like embittered old witch or something if she hadn't married Ron and had children. That's what Mercedes was saying in her review on Mercy's Bookish Musings. But this is not a Harry Potter review. This is the name of the one. I just think it would be interesting to get some more story from Fella. So that's like a lot of how it relates to Harry Potter, basically. But like I was saying, I do have problems with how women are portrayed in the series. And like I was saying, it might be the author trying to do this, but it might be him not realizing that, like, this is how he's treating women, I guess. So we've already talked about Fella, how she's super smart, but just doesn't get enough attention, and she's so sexualized, and it's frustrating, blah, blah, blah. There's also Denna, which I've told you about. She's the manic pixie love interest. There's also Devi, who Quoth ends up borrowing money from because he can't afford school anymore. I really like the fact that a lot of people in this book seem to bow down to Quoth and think that he is like so cool and whatever. But and Devi does fall for his charm at first, but I feel like he starts to take advantage of that, and that's when she's like, no, like, I can make your life miserable. You have no control over me. So I really appreciate that. I just wish there were more of her, which is a lot to ask for because she's just the money lender, you know what I mean? You know, he's not there all the time. But there is a little drama with her that I did really enjoy because her fury just like unleashes. And what's really interesting is that she is way more powerful than Quoth, because without spoiling anything, he really pisses her off and she gets scary. Like, I was reading it, I was like, Quoth is about to be ended right now. Like, he has pissed off the wrong one. So I really like that. I just wish there was more of her. Like, I just feel like there's just not enough women, and maybe I'm just being an angry feminist or whatever. Move on. There's also Ori, who is another interesting story. She's like, she's portrayed as this little creature that lives in the underworld of the university, and I mean, you get the impression that she used to be normal, but something has happened to make her like off her rocker, you know what I mean? And without spoiling anything, because I'm not even sure, I've heard some hypotheses that she might be immortal or something. And so what I really do like, and maybe I'm being too hard on Patrick Rothfuss for not treating women well enough, because although there's only 4 women that I can think of in the whole series, other than his mother, who they stopped talking about like way early in the book, there's only 4 women in the series that I can think of. But when Patrick Rothfuss was recruited, I guess, to write a story for the book Rogues, which you may have heard of. It's just like a collection of short stories by a lot of, I want to say a lot of fantasy authors, but Gillian Flynn was in there too, and that short story sucked, first of all, and it wasn't fantastical, so, you know, it didn't have fantasy elements. But he started to write about Ori for the short story collection, but ended up writing an entire novella. So he ended up writing the short story about about Bast, who helps Quoth with the tavern. And then we got a whole novella about Ori, which was amazing. Like, I really like very slow, character-driven, plotless stories. So this was literally perfect. Like, it only would have been better if it were 4 times as long. Like, I could just have like 1,000, like this many pages of Ori. Like, that would have been fantastic. I thought I heard a dog outside, sorry. That would have been fantastic because I am obsessed with Ori. You learn so much about her. You don't see her that much in the books, in the first 2 books. And the first 2 books came out first, and he just recently released The Slow Regard of Silent Things. Sorry if I didn't say the name. Slow Regard of Silent Things. He just recently released that, I want to say last year. And it is another case in where, I swear I'm going to break this clock. Sorry, it's another case in where there's a woman character from the main story that you don't get to see much of, but the more of her that you do get to see, like I was saying with Denna, how the more the story goes along and the more you see of her, the more you start to think, oh, well, maybe there is more to her and I judged her too quickly, because you do start to get the sense that she knows exactly what she's doing. It's the same thing with Ori and The Slow Regard of Silent Things, because you don't see her that much in the main series, but once you read this and once you get to the end and realize just how much power Ori has, it makes you wonder, like, I think she's going to play a big part in the 3rd book. And it's like I was saying with Devi, like, Quoth is by no means the most powerful person in the world or even at the university. He has crazy intelligent professors, namely Eladin, who is just fucking weird, which I really like, but whatever. Devi is a pretty tame character until you betray her, like she thought Quoth was doing, or maybe Quoth was doing. And then she just like unleashes this wrath, and at no point does Ori unleash a wrath in this 100-page novella, but you start to see like just how much power she has, and that is really cool. That is basically all the women in the book. I can't really... Maybe I'll just name this video like Women in Patrick Rothfuss, because I went into this thinking it was going to be a review of The Name of the Wind, but I talked about women for 20 minutes, so... if you've made it to this point, let's just take a minute. I'm drinking out of my Jane Austen mug. It's a chai latte that has gone cold by now. My throat hurts from talking so much. So if you've made it to this point, let's just take a minute. I appreciate you watching. If you want a real review of The Name of the Wind, but like I said at the beginning, I'm so tired of seeing reviews which are just summaries of the book. Like, you can go, you're a big boy, you're a big girl, you can go on Goodreads and read the summary for yourself. But if you want me to do another discussion video about any other elements of this story... You know what I didn't mention at all? Maybe I should script my videos. the Chandrian, which is not really a spoiler because it does happen quite early in the story. That's something I'm really interested to see. There's not much to say though without spoiling it, and even if I did spoil it, all I can really say is like I just can't wait to see more about it in the next book. What I will say, not a spoiler, is that the Chandrian, the role they play in this series is, to me, does Siri ever like randomly activate? That is so annoying. The Chandrian largely plays a mythological role in this series because you're not allowed to talk about them or they'll come after you, but there's all this like what do you call it? Lore. I'm so dyslexic, I was gonna say role, but I was looking for lore. There's all this like, you know, ancient mythology about them and stuff, and like all the, and that's another really interesting thing about the books is that you get a lot of history about the history of the alchemy that they use, the history of the Chandrian, just all that kind of stuff, which I find really interesting. Another thing, okay, quickly, one last thing and then I'll let you go because my throat hurts. Did I mention this is my Jane Austen mug that my friend got for me? Anyway. Now I forgot what I was going to mention. I remember what it is. Okay. Something that occurs in both books that is interesting but gets boring really quick is these episodes where Quoth gets into something or has an adventure that is highly, highly fantastic. Like, you know, has very high fantasy. Like, this isn't really a spoiler, but in the first book, Quoth and Denna basically hang out with dragons. And it's just this really long, drawn-out adventure where I'm just getting sick of Denna really quick. I just want to go back to the university. And maybe this is because I'm so interested in academia and stuff, and I love learning about learning and learning about just stuff, whatever. So I really like reading about Quoth, you know, spending all night in the library and learning about the Chandrian and learning how to make a sympathy lamp or whatever. And I was just getting really tired of him and Denna like messing around on this stupid dragon adventure. It was so stupid. And then in the second one, that is kind of spoilery, although it does mention it on the back of the book. Maybe it's on the back of this one. I'll read you the back of the name of the one. I've stolen princesses back from sleeping barrow kings. I burned down the town of Trebon. I don't know how to pronounce it. I have spent the night with Felurian and left with both my sanity and my life. I'll finish it. I was expelled from the university at a younger age than most people are allowed in. I tread paths by moonlight that others fear to speak of during the day. I've talked to gods, loved women, and written songs that make the minstrels, minstrels, weep. You may have heard of me. I roll like so dramatic. But the episode with Felurian is in the second book. I don't care if that's a spoiler, whatever. And it just gets kind of old after a while. What I do really like about the second book is the really long and drawn out episode, but with, oh, I can't remember his name, but it's like that monk type. I want to say monk, but only because I'm thinking of the monk character or class from Diablo 3, which is like a really badass like fighting monk, which is exactly what this character is in the second book. I think his name is Tempe. or something. I'm so sorry, I can't remember. I haven't read these in a while. I actually read The Wise Man's Fear in January, I think, but that was 8 months ago now. Anyway, I really liked that episode. I will say that, because that was more of Quoth learning about stuff. So that I found really interesting, as well as, oh, I was rambling for the entire video about women, but what I really like about the monk, if you can call him that, Tempe's community, is that women are like totally equal, if not a little bit superior, because the leader of the community is a woman, and she's totally badass and like really well respected. And Quoth is training how to be one of them with this woman, and sex is like a totally casual thing. Like, he was getting, I can't remember if he was a virgin at this point or not, but he was getting really aroused by being in such close contact with a woman, because they were learning how to do hand-to-hand combat, and it involved a lot of like touching, obviously, whatever. So he couldn't help but get aroused, whatever, if there's an excuse for that. And she was like, whatever, let's just get it over with. There's nothing wrong with sex, as if it was like, oh, you got your hands dirty, let's go wash our hands or something. You know, it just wasn't a big deal, which I thought was really cool. There is obviously dangerous things about that. If that were to be like what the world was really like, and people really, really didn't care about sex, like, I know we're already kind of lax about it, but whatever, let's not make this a sex discussion. Talk about STDs and stuff, whatever. I liked the open and accepting sexuality in the books. Anyway, I guess that's all I will say for today. Like I said earlier, if there's anything else you want me to make a discussion video about in regards to these books or any other book, if you have any requests, just let me know in the comments, and I will see you next time. Thank you for watching.